Hey guys, today we're going to talk about suicide and why it is that we really need to talk about it. So, that and more, it's coming right up. Did you know that every 40 seconds, someone around the world commits suicide? That's a staggering number. That's about 1 million persons a year that commit suicide. And an even more alarming fact is 76% of those are males. So, we're going to look into why that is today, but we're also going to look into things that we can do if we know someone that's in that mindset, and also things to look out for. If this is your first time joining me, my name's Tom Fulks, and this is my channel, Moving Forward with Tom. And on this channel, we discuss not only what it's like to live with depression and anxiety, but also some things that we can do to help overcome that and to work through those feelings. So today, during this topic of suicide, I hope that it reaches the ears that it needs to reach. So you can do that by, number one, subscribe to the channel so that you can be here with us each week when we discuss a variety of things that have to do with depression and anxiety, and also some uplifting things that we can do to have a happier life. And also turn on notifications, which is the little bell, so that you'll be notified every time that I upload a new video. And also to leave a comment. Leave a comment of what you thought about the topic, or maybe some ideas of future videos you may want to see. I do respond to every person that puts a comment, so don't feel awkward about it. You're just talking to me, and look at me, I'm talking to a camera with no one else in the room, so can't be any more awkward than that. So, why is it that suicide is such a sensitive topic? Well, that's pretty obvious. It's because it's someone taking their life, that they're in such a low point in their life that they just can't see any other way out of the situation they're in or the way they're feeling other than the taking of their own life. And that's a devastating mindset to be in. I've been in that mindset a couple times in my life, and thank God I never acted on it, but the thought had crossed my mind. But we're going to talk today about people that go a bit further and either attempt suicide or actually succeed with it. My main reason for wanting to do this video is because I've seen firsthand what suicide can do. I've witnessed a friend of mine when I was younger taking his life, and I also witnessed when I was older, not as old as I am now, but older than I was when I was a teenager. I witnessed someone attempting to commit suicide, and not only seen how it affected people around them, but how it affected the person that actually attempted suicide. And we're going to dive deeper into both of those situations. But the one I want to start off with is a young man that committed suicide when I was growing up. He was on my baseball team, and no one knew what was going on with him. We knew that his family, his mother and father, were getting a divorce, and he was taking it pretty hard. But when you're younger, you don't really suicide never even crosses your mind. But teenage suicide is a real thing. And I remember finding out at baseball practice that my friend wasn't there, and I found out that he had hung himself in his front yard. We didn't have practice that day. We were all a mess. It brings up feelings within me of just a sickness almost. It's just a devastating feeling to know what he could have become had he not taken his life, but also the sadness of that he thought there was no other way to get past the hurt he was feeling other than taking his own life. And that's just a sad state to be in. So you may be thinking, why would anyone in their right mind take their own life? Well, you got to remember they're not in the right mindset at the time. Their mind has convinced them that that's the only way out of the hurt they're feeling. And these things can come about for different reasons. It can be from history of abuse. It can be through financial problems. It can be relationship problems. It can be your parents getting divorced. I mean, it can be legal problems, impending going to jail. I mean, a number of things can get someone in this mindset to where they think there's no other viable way out for them. And what I want to talk about next is some warning signs that we can see of people around us, maybe that they may be crying out for help and we don't even realize it. Number one is probably isolating themselves, just completely shutting everybody else out. And we're talking about people that may be always around other people and always seems to be jolly and have everything going for them, then all of a sudden they're just completely isolated. Not like we experiencing now self-isolation, but I'm talking about just shutting yourself off from the world. That's a sign. Another one is someone that does have a history of depression and anxiety. That can help further the chances of someone taking their own life. One of the main things, which is kind of not main, but one of the telltale signs, is someone giving away like prized possessions, something that they've treasured, but they feel like that they're doing something good for someone else before they take their life. So if someone is doing that around you, you know that's a sign that they're contemplating suicide. Another one is alcohol and drug abuse. And I'm not talking about someone that has the occasional beer, but I'm talking about someone that all of a sudden you realize, man, they're getting drunk every day and they're just out of it. And that's them trying to numb the pain and a lot of times trying to get the courage to do the unthinkable. Another one can be the sleeping habits. They can be not sleeping much at all and they seem unnaturally tired all the time, but that's because they're not sleeping and their mind won't quit racing, thinking about ending their life. But probably the one thing that you can really notice is if someone has been experiencing several of the things we just talked about, but all of a sudden they get almost a calmness over them and a happiness. That's a very scary sign. And the reason that is because they are at a point to where they have made up their mind this is what they're going to do, and it's almost like it's a relief to them because they finally made up their mind how they're going to do it, when they're going to do it, and they're okay with it. And we should never, ever be okay with it. It should never be even an option. So what can we do if we notice someone experiencing these things? Number one is we can ask questions. You don't want to ask a bunch of questions to where they kind of back off from you. But you want to ask a few questions. But the main thing is you want to listen. You want to listen to see what the responses are and to let them talk about their feelings, because sometimes talking about it helps take some of that thought away from them. Because you got to remember, you feel isolated, you feel like no one else understands, so you want to get them talking about it. But one thing you don't want to do is to tell them that, yeah, I can relate to that, because you really don't. You don't relate to exactly what it is that they are feeling. And that's one thing that really can bug them and think they don't have a freaking clue how I'm feeling. And it can piss them off. So don't try to relate. They'll see it as fake. But what you want to do is just to listen and be there. And besides being there, you want to stay there. You want to actually stay in the moment with them until they really come out with you and tell you exactly what it is they're thinking. And then offer them some real support. And by real support, I mean talk to them about seeking professional help. Even if you sit there with them and tell them it'll be okay, you'll be with them every step of the way, and make the call while you're there with them for them to get professional help. And that could save someone's life. But stick with them through it. And I mentioned earlier that I had a couple of examples of things that I've seen personally. Another one was a gentleman that's a friend of mine, and he attempted suicide. He was in a impending legal trouble and could have been facing jail time, and he tried to end his life. He took a bottle of pills. And I'll never forget helping with the ambulance drivers get him down from 3 flights of stairs into the ambulance of a lifeless body. And it's the worst thing you can imagine for the loved ones and friends, but also the sadness of what they were feeling at that time. Thank God he ended up not taking his life, but I can remember for the next week that I stayed with him pretty much 24/7. I even wouldn't let him go to the bathroom alone. And that's what I mean by sticking through with these people, because they need to feel like someone cares. Not that you understand exactly where they're coming from, but that you care. And if they don't feel that they're alone, that can help tremendously. So be sure and stick by them. But if you or anyone that you know have either attempted suicide or even had the thoughts of suicide, or if you see someone with these warning signs, I want you to call the number right now on the screen of the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That's in the United States. If you're in another country, call your local authorities. You can either call them and tell them exactly that you're thinking about committing suicide and you need help, and you'll get help. But please never, ever think that suicide is the only out or an answer, because it's not. We don't want you to be a statistic. Your family doesn't. Just know that you're loved, and that suicide's never, ever even a viable option, not even in the least little bit. And just remember that you're stronger than your own mind's telling you that you are. You have the strength to overcome this and to overcome whatever it is that you're feeling. You can come out of it. It's not a state that you have to be in forever. So I pray that this reaches who it needs to reach, and I ask that you share this video. Share this video so that it can be seen by the right person or the right persons that may need to see it. And that's the only way things like this are talked about, because it's such a stigma of people wanting to talk about suicide. But share the video. Share it on your Facebook page, because you can have friends, you can have relatives, you can have someone that you're so close to that you don't even realize that they're contemplating suicide. And that's evident by the 1 million persons a year that do commit suicide. So once again, I would love you to join me on this journey that I'm on of trying to overcome anxiety and depression, and to build a community here where we can come together. So hit the subscribe button and join me every week. Turn on notifications. But until next time, I want you to do me one thing, and that's just to keep moving forward.